Okay, so welcome to our presentation. So here we're gonna talk to you about our brand new game, Alien vs. Predator. And I am Bogdan Iliashiu, and this is Andrei Faur.
Hi, everyone.
And we are from Angry Mob Games. And thank you. And first, I'm gonna talk to you a bit about ourselves. So we've been doing games since 2009, and maybe you know us from our first title, Guerrilla Bob, which was pretty famous, among the first really great games done with Unity. And that's a third-person action game with a top-down view, with a cartoony guy where you shoot people. And then we did Predators in 2010, and that's the official game for iOS done for the movie Predators. We did it together with Fox and Chilingo. And that's an action brawler with a top-down view where you chop off people and play as the Predator. And our latest game, which we did last year, is Muffin Knight. So Muffin Knight is a cartoony action platformer which got a few million users, and it's really famous, and it's now finalist in the Unite People's Choice Award. And now we're doing this Alien vs. Predator game. We're doing it together with Fox Digital Entertainment. And the game is a third-person action-adventure game. I don't know if you heard of it. We just announced it last week during GDC and Gamescom. In this game, you can fight as the alien and the predator. And it's a story-driven campaign. And you can customize your character with all the characters you see in all the Alien movies, all the Predator movies, and you can pick all their weapons and armors. And the game is still currently in development. And we've been working on it since the beginning of this year, and it will launch at the end of the year on iOS and Android. And let me show you a quick gameplay video. So, can you hear any sounds? Okay, so here you can see the camera is third person, and you see the character from behind. You progress through the levels, and you have a lot of combat areas and scenarios where you do all kind of combo moves. And yeah, that's better. And you can do all sorts of executions, and it's a pretty gory game. And as you can probably see, if it's not too dark, we really try to push the game graphics and use a lot of detailed characters and lighting. And we've got normal maps and everything, and we use all the Unity's lighting solutions. And we've got both indoor and outdoor environments. So here you can see so it's not just combat, you also explore the levels and you have to follow a story. And besides that melee weapons, you also have like ranged weapons, like this plasma gun over here. And we tried in this game to get the Alien vs. Predator feel from the movies. And for that we had to play with the lighting, and it's a little darker. And we got all the iconic stuff from the movies. Okay. So in this presentation, we'll do it in 3 parts. In the first part, Andrei is going to talk to you about the tools we developed ourselves to build up the level flow and to script various events, to make up the story and what happens in the levels, and also do many dynamic scenarios for the combat. And pretty much all of this is to direct the player flow through the levels and through the campaign. And then I'm going to tell you about the combo system we used. We decided to do this talk because for us, it was really hard to find anything about it, and we had to do a lot of research. And I'm going to talk to you about how we did all the player animations, to do the combos, and how to link them, and how to do a combo chain, and how all the timings work, and how the input works. And in the last part, I'm going to tell you about how we designed our levels and the workflow we use for the level design. So, Andrei, if you want to talk.
Hi. As Bogdan said, I will do the first part of the presentation. I will present the gameplay event system. So, what did we try to achieve in creating Aliens versus Predator? We tried to create unique combat, great action, and the last but not the least, an awesome gameplay. At the same time, being responsible with development, we tried to program things and as simple as we could. We wanted to make them highly reusable and easy to maintain. When we started the game, we realized that the most important in designing the levels was the workflow, was the level flow. So it was very obvious for us that the level flow was some sort of consequence of the choices presented to the player. In other words, any challenge that could have happened during the gameplay is a result of some past event. With this in mind, we looked at the level flow as a sequence of game conditions and game actions. So we constructed in Unity some base classes for the condition and actions, and the whole conditions and actions that are in the game are derived from those base classes. They all derived from the mono behavior class, so we were able to add them in the scene and link them together. What is a game condition actually? They trigger actions. As you can see here, we have a game conditions in the hierarchy, and it's linked to some actions. And anytime that condition is met, all the actions will be fired and eventually executed. I would exemplify some conditions. We start from the simple ones, like on trigger enter, on trigger exit. They will, for example, they will open and close the doors. We can go further to some more complex ones, like conditions that will fire actions when the player got hurt, or when the alien is walking on walls, or when the player, when alien or predator is executing, is performing an execution. Second, game actions. A game action is nothing else but behavior that is triggered by a condition. So, as we thought as the level flow as chunks, as constructed as a chunks of actions, we could exemplify some very basic actions like open, close door, spawn enemies. We can enable, disable, destroy various objects in the scene. We can go even further by with some camera-related actions, like cutscene, camera rotate around, change camera behavior. We can go even further by action that will unlock different items, like plasma gun, or actions that are fired when we reach the checkpoint. Designing the level flow, we found out that we need some different types of firing modes. So we have like 3 fire modes. The first one would be the simple fire. In this way, the action will be executed right after the condition is met. The second one would be conditional fire. In this case, actions are executed when some related actions are finished or some other kind of events are done. And the third one is very similar to the first one, but it adds some sort of delay to the action. Let's go into the scene. As you can see, you have here a game condition, which is actually a game object in the scene with a box collider on it, which is a trigger. So anytime a player enters this trigger, it will fire the action spawn enemies. So enemies will be spawned, and they will be ready for combat. We can go further by adding more complex conditions, like when all where all the enemies are dead, we can start another condition. Let's say we can open this door, and start a cutscene over here, and so on. I hope you got the point. As you might see here, already seen, we also have some spawn points, alert points where the enemies should get before they enter the combat. We also have waypoints where they can patrol, but they're not here. And we could have directed links between them, and also retreat points where the enemies could run when they got panicked. So why is this very important? We try to make it as visual as we can. So all these gizmos, very basic gizmos, but together with the game condition and game action system, they will build a very powerful tool to design the gameplay. Being in this area, I'm talking about spawn points and alert points and so on. I will briefly exemplify some AI spawning mechanism and enemies' behavior. So we tried to make the spawning mechanism as realistic as possible. So all the enemies are not spawned from the ground or somewhere from walls. They are Marines, let's say, they are spawned from special rooms. They are opening doors, and aliens can be spawned from different vents or from some places on the walls that is not visible for the player. We have different types of enemies, actually, too. They are ranged. They can shoot for long distance, or melee, as you can see, androids, aliens, and predators. The most important thing here is the behavior of the enemies. We tried to create a very complex behavior. We were using a finite state machine for this, and we had a lot of states for all of them, like patrolling, reach certain points. They could start engage, or they could wait for the player to be in a certain place. They could flee to cover, retreat when panicked, and so on. Anyways, there is always a place for improvements regarding this. So in the final version of our game, we'll adjust the spawning intensity and difficulty according to the player skills, player equipment, or even accumulated experience. Here is a short demo of how Alien is moving through the level. So as the alien was moving through the level, there are a lot of sequence of action that happen. As you already saw, there was an open door. It followed by a cutscene. Then It was another condition that placed the alien on the wall. Another one that that is spawning enemies. Another actions would be camera behavior was changed here. So it's just looking in one direction and is not moving behind the player, and so on. So let's draw a line here. We have, as we said, or we tried to have very varied gameplay. So this implied having, with this approach, having a lot of game events, like game condition and game actions. The conditions are here, actions are here. And we'll have a lot of them. So the question is, does this gonna work? Does it will not overload the scene, and so on. And here we have two options. We could choose to have many game objects in the scene with a reusable code, so that anytime we want something here to be added, something new, we could reuse an existing game action or game condition. Or we could have a different approach, like a few game objects with hard-coded scenarios, which we cannot reuse, and they are not that visual. We did some research, and we found out that more game objects are fine. Even more is awesome. But let's stop dreaming and get back to business. And I was talking about a lot of game objects in the scene. And it was pretty hard for, it could be pretty hard for a developer or artist to know the sequence of events. And it's pretty hard for one to know which condition which trigger which action. So we came with a solution. Keep game objects simple and well organized in the hierarchy. Create a standard that everyone in our team should adopt. And in the last but not the least, use editor helper tools. So we tried to group here under different checkpoints or the actions and conditions. And anytime someone wants to add a new event, which is a condition or action, it can be, he or she can add it in a proper place, depending on the checkpoint he needs. Here are the tools. The first one would be event navigation tool. It finds dependencies for some specified game actions or game conditions in the scene. So if you drag and drop some events here, condition or action over here, all the dependencies for that object will be displayed here. You can go even further and execute some actions manually while playing. Here is an execute button. Second feature for this tool would be to show all the dependencies between actions and conditions. So, and this can be dumped to a file, saved to a file. This is useful, or it will be useful. We think that it's going to be useful to compare different builds. So if we just want to compare what have changed from one build to another, we just have to compare those files, checking for some changes. The second one will be the event tracker tool. This is only for debugging purposes. It logs all that happens during the gameplay. So all the conditions or actions that are that are going on are presented here in the hierarchy, in an order. So this is going to help us to identify some abnormal behavior. As I already told you, we have a lot of links. There are a lot of links between conditions and actions. And you know that working in the scene, anytime you can delete anytime a game object or a game condition. But what happens if we still have some references to those deleted objects? We have a list here with everything that is not supposed to be null, and we just execute this, and the whole objects that are not respecting that criteria are presented here, and they're easy to fix. Conclusion: using this approach, we speed up production. We tweak gameplay anytime without breaking the game. And we tried to focus on our development time on making the game fun, not on hard coding the gameplay. Okay. Bogdan will talk about the combo system and what follows.
OK. So for the combo system, this applies to all the melee weapons in the game that the player has. And there are like 5 of them. The alien can fight using the claws and its tail, and the predator can fight using its wrist blades, combi stick, and razor whip. And for each of those, it has different combo chains, different moves, different animations, executions, and different abilities. So here's a short movie where you can see the alien doing some combos and fighting some marines. So here you can see a combo chain. So the combo means when you do like a right attack, then a left attack, then you do an uppercut, and then you jump around and stuff like that. And you link those. Okay. So, for example, here, if you take the alien claws, here we have like a flow chart, and here is how the animations are tied together. And you can go from the idle pose to either a heavy attack or a light attack. And from the light attack, you start with the right hand, and you can either press A or B. And if you press A or B, or you hold A, then you can you have a few options how to continue your chain. So you can link all those moves together. So in our system, it works like you start from a previous attack pose. Then you have a few frames before you do a hit on the enemies around you. And then you have a few more frames, and then you transition to the next animation in the combo chain. And after that, you have more frames and get back to the idle pose. And in our system, to go to the next animation, to the next attack, you should press a button during all this time. And actually, you can press the button during all this time. And if you press it too early, even if you press it here, you play the animation all the way to the transition pose, and only then you go to the next attack. So you see the attack for the necessary frames. And this system is different than other games where you can press, for example, A, and then you wait and see 3 animations going in a row. And to move from one animation to another, we did all those poses in 3ds Max by our animators. And I'm going to show you how they are built. Okay, so here's an animation of the alien where he does light attack with the right hand. So for this animation, we have 39 frames. And here it starts from, this is the idle pose. In the end, it's again the idle pose. And you have some like anticipation here. And after 4 frames, you do a hit. And during this hit, you search for all the enemies around this point, around the, you see the mouse? Okay, around the radius. And if you have anybody there, you deal damage. And after this, you have a few more frames in which you go to another pose, which is the transition pose for the next attack animation in the chain. And this pose lasts for a few frames, like from here unto here. So we can easily crossfade to the next animation, even if the player presses at different times. And if he doesn't press anything, then he goes all the way to the end. And then I'm going to show you like the next animation in the chain. Okay, so here it's a light attack with the left hand. So here you can see that it starts from the previous animation transition pose, so it doesn't start from the idle pose. And again, it does the hit, then goes to a transition pose, and then it goes back to idle. And some other things about how we did these animations. You can see the character is moving forward. And in the game, we read the animation for this game object using a system similar to the root motion controller done by the guys at Mixamo. And when we export the animation, we export it like this, so the character stays in place, so it doesn't move forward. And we move the character controller in the game using the Unity scripts, so we can take all the collisions into account. And we read the movement from that. So you can see it's not linear, so this is like a really good option for us. Okay. So here, this is a spreadsheet that we're using. You can see all the different animations for the alien claws, and here are the tail, and these are the timers, and these are the number of frames. And for example, for these easy ones, we have like a timer until you get a hit. This is another timer until you get to the transition pose, and this is a long timer until you get back to the idle. And all these timers, we're using them in code as numbers, and we're running them through some coroutines and doing the necessary events after each timer. Okay, and to make it easy for us to add animations, new animations, and keep the code nice, we try to isolate each attack animation from each other and use another system to link from one attack to the other attack. So we've got combo actions and combo conditions. And combo actions only deal with each attack animation. And all attack animations are isolated from each other. So this means that we can even run them in different orders and do whatever we want with them. And the conditions is they trigger these actions. And The combo conditions usually read the player input, and based on that, they start running the next action. And for the combo actions, here's what we do. We start playing the character animations we build in 3ds Max. Then we start running those timers. We first find all the enemies around the player and in front of the player, and we try to align the player character to the enemy by slowly rotating them. And this is really important, so we can sync the animations perfectly. And then we also have some effects, like particles or weapon trails and sounds, which we start. And during the hit, we check which enemies are around to deal damage. And for these combo conditions, I'll give you an example here. For the light right attack, so during this attack animation, the player can either press A, B, or hold the A button. And if he presses A, he does front attack with 2 hands. If he presses B, he does a heavy attack by spinning around. And if he holds A, he does an uppercut. And so this decides how the player will continue its combo chain. So the combo chain is all this. OK, so now I'm going to talk to you about how we did our level design. So we did a lot of planning for all our levels and environments. So we spent a lot of time in pre-production to make sure the levels are really great, and we wouldn't just throw in graphics and then start building up gameplay from that. So we followed some steps for that. So the first thing was coming up with a great story for the Alien vs. Predator game. So the story helps us to know what actually happens and where the players are traveling and what's the purpose for the alien and for the predator, and what kind of environments we're using. And then we did a rough level overview. So we thought about how many levels to include and what each level should have. And this was just some text we did. So we thought about the environment type for each level. And then we thought about the special events that should happen related to the story. And also tried to make very interesting gameplay scenarios to make the gameplay varied and add new challenges for the players, so it wouldn't be the game wouldn't be the same from start to end. And for each level, we try to include some environment landmarks. So these are like really nice architectural things that you can have in a level to recognize each level, or to get some spatial orientation inside the levels, or to like seeing something far and knowing that there's your destination or stuff like this, and not to get lost. Then we wrote each objective for each level. So, and then we did a little description about what else should happen in each level. Here's our beautiful drawings. So after this, we did a top-down layout for each of these levels. And having all the previous information, it was really easy for us to come up with these designs. So almost nothing here is done at random. It all has a purpose. The player has a clear path where he should go. And it was really easy for us to design the environment layout this way. And using this, we started doing basic 3D layout. We did this in 3ds Max. So for this, we took into consideration all the top-down views, but also other things, like keeping all these ground planes flat, so you can have like all those combo moves, and the animations will sync nice. And we also took into consideration how the level loads and how occlusion culling works. And what else? So after this, we took it. So yeah, we checked the scale to make everything up to scale, and then we took it into Unity. And using this, we built all the gameplay using many of the tools he mentioned. And here is where we spent a lot of time tweaking it and changing the layouts. We changed it a lot of times to make it really fun, and to check the camera angles, to make sure your path is clear and you wouldn't have to keep rotating the camera around or get lost or stuff like that. And we also have some special rooms like this one where you spawn the enemies. So as he told you, the enemies don't teleport or appear out of the ground. They come out of real rooms. And after we tested it a lot and gave it to a lot of people and were happy with it, it's only then that we started modeling and texturing the levels. So before this, we had to make sure everything was great. And with the modeling and texturing, we did it in 3ds Max again. And we have like a few prefabs, which we exported individually, like the doors or these stairs here, or some props, which you can't see here. And the rest is just geometry as you see it. We exported it like this into Unity. So we didn't reuse this part of the wall and this part of the wall and this part. We exported everything together because we found out that that wouldn't save us too much memory or anything. And this way we can make unique environments which don't feel generic, and each level looks nice and is unique. After this, again, we changed the collision. We implemented the collision, did some more testing, and got to the final stage, which is the environment lighting. So this one is also a very important part for Alien vs. Predator, as we had to achieve that dark atmosphere and also make it visible on mobile devices. So you'd see the game. And for this lighting, all of the light in the game has a defined purpose. It helps direct the player to its next objective, and it shows the path. So we don't just put all the lights in a corner where you don't have anything. And we used all the Unity tools like the beast light mapping and the light probes. And we also have some nice glows and lens flares and fog planes. And that's about it. So I'd like to take some questions from you guys. And if you want to play the game, search for us, and we have it here on our devices. And
Thank you very much.
Ask us anything about the game. Thanks.
Could you show me something about your use of light probes, please?
Sorry?
Could you show me something about the way you use the light probes?
Show you? Like, you want to see the Unity game? Or would you like me to talk about it?
I would like to see how you
position
them.
Okay, let me show you. So, Okay. So we did here plane in 3ds Max, which we projected from the top down onto like a navigation mesh, something similar to that. And we divided it like this. And we export this mesh into Unity, and then we place a light probe at each vertex. Okay.
Did you do all the artificial intelligence with finite state machines, or did you use other solutions as well?
What was? Sorry.
So we use final state machines. Or
The AI, did you
AI.
do them with only with finite state machines, or did you use other solutions as well?
No, we just use final state machines, and for each state we have a script, and where it's possible we can use that script for different enemies as well, if they are similar or something like that.
Okay. And another small question: the sections where the alien is running through the vents, is that a cutscene, or do you control the alien?
You control it. So we switch from the usual character controller to like a first-person controller.
So it's
and
not.
you can navigate like a.
Yeah, it's not.
leopard.
It's not a cutscene. It's just we played. Yeah, we just changed the camera and some more things over there.
You guys said lots of game objects isn't a problem. What do you consider lots? Like, what does a typical scene have?
Yeah, I was talking about lots. Imagine that this is the whole level, and we might have from 3 to, let's say, 6 checkpoints. That is, actually, we divided this level in small chunks, and every chunk has their own actions and conditions. So it could have, let's say, 20 actions and 20 conditions for a checkpoint. So it will be kind of mess if we just put them everywhere, and we just use the system to put them in a good positions. And
So like 150.
What's the min spec device you're targeting?
what was the question?
Min spec, like minimum spec device
For
you're
the game?
targeting? Yeah.
So it runs perfectly right now on iPad 2, iPad 3, iPhone 4S, the Galaxy S2 on Android, and we're going to optimize it to run on lower devices as well. But for those, we might take out the lens flares and maybe make some level of detail for the shaders and characters.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You said you worked on this like half a year, basically this year. Can you specify what people resources, how many people, and what roles in the team?
So there are like 7 of us that are working at our studio, and we had 2 animators and 2 external modelers and 3D artists. So it was like 2 animators, 2 guys who did high poly 3D models, and 3 guys who did environments, and 1 guy who did the gameplay, and 3 programmers. And the sound guy, for the sounds, we were working with Fox, and they handle all the sounds.
Yeah, I have a question about the combat system. Is it all some sort of timing based, or does the, for example, alien character, does it have separate collision boxes attached to its limbs, or how does the combat exactly work? Is there any collision between, you know, the victim and the alien, or do you use some kind of timers to determine whether it hits the victim or not?
We just use the timers, and we to check some radius around the hit points. So if he's attacking with the tail is long, so we have like not just one hit point in the end. We have like 3 or 4 hit points along the tail, and for each of these points at the right time in the animation or during more frames, you deal damage. And you try to align the characters with the moves.
Thank you.
Hi. For the enemy, do they react to the combo system, or do they have their own behavior independent of the player?
So yeah, sure. They react by doing like hurt animations, which are all related to where they get hit. So they get hit like this, and that, that, and or to the left, right, to the back, and they can also block, and that way just keep blocking. And
can they block a combo, which
sure.
disable the next step of the combo?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah, actually, each state is listening for some external events that could change that current state in some block state, let's say. Any more questions?
Hi. The gameplay / the scenario editor, was it in Unity or was it standalone app?
It's in Unity.
It's all in Unity.
So it's not possible to ship it with the game and create some user levels?
No, we can. It's not that easy to use, and you need access to all the some low-level stuff in our code, and everything is dependent to each other, so we can't.
Do you support branching scenarios? I mean, non-linear?
We have a few cases, I think. But
yeah, we support branches, but they all get in the same point actually right now. But yeah, we think the game is not done yet, so we're still working on it.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering how you guys got to do the Aliens vs. Predator franchise. Did they come to you, or you pitched to them or something?
yeah, so we worked with them in the past on the Predators title, and it was really great working with them, and they really loved it, and we pitched it to them.
Hi. Could you maybe talk a little bit about the performance guidelines for your artists and coders? Because I'm actually quite impressed all this runs on mobile devices.
Okay, so basically we didn't have clear guidelines either. So we looked at that Shadow Gun sample project they uploaded on the Unity site, and we saw that, wow, they could do like a lot of textures, like 124 by, 1024 by 1024 textures. And we use some similar specs to that demo level for the textures. And for the environments, then we have like the maximum you can see on one screen is like 20K triangles, so that's pretty much. And it runs pretty well. And in most of the areas, you see like 5,000 or 10,000 triangles on one screen. And the whole level has like, I don't know, like 100,000 max. And the characters are around 1,700 triangles. What else? Only the characters have normal maps. And we use the light maps for the environment, and for the characters, we also use another directional light just for them, so you can show the normal map and the specular map. And what else?
I could say regarding coding or programming, we always paid attention to what's going on there. Actually, we always try to use the best practices in programming. We were looking for some optimizations that can perform. We took care of, I don't know, we try to reuse some created objects, not to instantiate them all the time. So basically, we did what the guys from Unity just told us in the previous presentation.
And I don't know, so the specs are pretty similar to what the guys at Shadow Garden did, but we didn't use the shaders they used. We used the built-in shaders for most of the game, and we also used some shaders from Angry Bots for all the reflections, and that runs really great.
Question over here, okay. How many draw calls do you usually maximum have per scene or per view? Or what have you set as a limit for you or for the developers how to have?
I'm not sure. I think it's about from 50 to 100 maximum.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, we'll make it on the fly, actually. We are working in an agile style, so any time we make something, we try to optimize it. And when we did that thing, we try to make it as best as we can. So we are in a process of developing the game.
So we are doing atlases for the textures, but each character has its own texture, and we have like only from 6 to 10 environment textures for level, so that gets batched. Well, if you want to play the game, don't forget to search for us, okay? Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.